Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Tripp
and Lene.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health podcast.
Hey, Tripp.
Hey, Lene.
I know this is going to surprise you, but I have a joke.
Really?
I do.
Looking forward to it.
What did the baby corn say to the mama corn?
Where's Pop?
Where's popcorn? You got that one.
I got one. Oh.
So you had a pretty eventful clinic day yesterday. I walked into the room and the patient was like, "Oh, you just missed me hugging your husband."
Oh, yes.
Would you like to tell me about that interaction?
Sure.
Change the names. Change the names.
So, let me think. What would be a Sybil?
Sybil. Okay, so Sybil came in.
Sybil came in. She's been a patient for 4 to 5 years now. It's been very, very arduous in following the 4 pillars and doing a lot of the suggested interventions and things like that in practice, particularly to maintain her health and feel younger again, and has been quite successful at it. Quite frankly, continues to do routine exercising, her nutrition. This is New Orleans, so, she does have those nutritional excursions from time to time.
Nutritional excursion.
But at the same time, for the most part, she does really well, and with the mindfulness practices and that. And she finally opted to do
the genetic test kit.
Yeah, the biological
that we offer.
Aging. Yeah, and so we sent that off a few weeks ago and got it back, and we were reviewing those results. And she is now 70 years old, and certainly doesn't behave physically or mentally as.
I mean, she is still working full time.
Working full time, very active in community. I mean, really an amazing woman. And so she said, "Well, what does all this mean?" And I said, "Well, you need to take a look here. And what this indicates is that you are biologically about 15 and a half years younger than your chronological age." So she had actually done really well. And of course, I'm going to take a little credit there.
Of course
because
you are.
I think
because you got the tools.
got those tools.
You got the tools. She implemented the tools. It's a partnership. So you both get kudos. So
yeah, the partnership is working well, and I was just as happy for her and for us as she was for herself. So really great outcome. So yeah, I was really pleased with that.
Well, that's okay. I guess she can hug you then. I guess I'll let that one slide. Speaking of successful age reversal, we've got an amazing guest on the show today who is passionate about longevity and calls himself a longevity advocate. That's his website and his Twitter handle. You're going to have to help me. I know he told me how to say his last name, but I'm going to butcher it again. It's
hold on.
Marek
Piotrowski.
Marek Piotrowski, a beautiful, lovely man. And he is a seasoned marketing strategist and former CEO of successful ad agencies, has seamlessly transitioned his expertise from the business world to the realm of longevity promotion. With a robust background as a former CMO in robotics, he's now dedicated to demystifying breakthroughs in the field of longevity, offering practical advice and protocols to empower individuals to embrace longer, healthier, and more active lives. Marek's mission is to bridge the gap between cutting-edge research and the public, igniting inspiration and belief in the attainability of longevity and driving both interest and investment to fuel the growth of the longevity industry and accelerate scientific advancements for extended health spans and lifespans. Alongside his son, Alex, Mark initiated the quote, Beyond Time project, embarking on a year-long global journey to unearth the best longevity solutions, engaging with industry luminaries and creating a movie to share remarkable breakthroughs and ready to apply protocols. So excited to have you on, Mark. All right, Mark, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and your journeys. They sound really exciting.
Hi, Lena. Hi, Trip. It's a pleasure to be with you here. And, we all have stories, so let's share together.
Yeah, I love it. And so you said you're on Mount Fuji?
Fuji.
Fuji.
Fujiyama.
Fuji. Fujiyama. How did you end up there?
I'm with my son on this 1-year longevity quest around the world. And we came to Japan to visit mostly Okinawa, which is known as a blue zone, so a place where people live the longest. Mm-hmm. So we planned to spend there just 3 days, and we ended up being on Okinawa for at least 10 days.
Oh, wow.
It was so beautiful. And it was, tropical hot. And yesterday we just got to Tokyo and now here to Fuji to explore more and also to do some hiking because, as they say, longevity is not just health span or lifespan. It's all about living. So we try to live a little bit. And
that's awesome.
And nature, Fuji, it looks amazing. So I can't wait for a hike today.
So how old is your son?
17.
And you've been traveling for a year. So is this part of his academic curriculum or he got the year off or how does that work?
Alexander just finished his high school. So it's his gap year. So now during the trip I wanted to show him around. I wanted him to get to know all my friends around the world so that he can, get inspired and consciously choose what he wants to do next.
Man, that's awesome that you get to do that with him. I think that's so important for the children right out of high school to take a year, not just to sit around and play games, but to really travel and get some practical experience and see other cultures. So that's awesome that you get to do that with him.
Yeah, okay, of course, this journey is amazing for me, longevity, traveling, spending time with my son. But for him, it's also groundbreaking, if I can say so, because first of all, we're shooting a documentary together. So he's learning, how to film. Of course, we have people to help us, but he's learning that too, because in some moments we are just by ourselves and then we have to do that. And then he gets to know amazing people, amazing cultures. And, another thing is that we have this father-son experience, spending 1 year living in the same room, doing everything together. So of course we have our ups and downs. It's not, just pinky, but we learn so much from each other. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. And so where are you in your 1 year journey? Like what month out of 12 months are you on?
It's only third month. We started in the middle of August.
Okay.
So it's the beginning, but it's running so fast. And, in every place you'd like to stay longer and longer. I was just mentioning Japan. We plan to be in Japan altogether maybe a week, maybe 9 days. And we are already over 20. So
wow.
It's really hard just not to, dive into the nature in the places and the people and so on and so on. So, 1 year is not enough.
So do you find that it's a rejuvenating experience, not just being in Okinawa, but the experience with your son? I think not unlike the infusion of frozen plasma from younger individuals into older individuals. There's a kind of youthful experience there.
For sure it is an amazing and youthful experience. And I don't know if you know about flow. I was studying flow in California. So flow is the state when you feel your best and you perform your best. There are a lot of triggers of flow and, just doing things that are not expected, and doing it in beautiful nature and doing it with others and so on and so on. It induces a lot of flow. So yeah, it's just happiness and, just great experiences all the time. And about rejuvenating with, young blood and so on, I think that, of course, probably when you inject, plasma or young blood into yourself, it probably better. It works. Like it works on animal models for sure. But just being with young people all the time, it rejuvenates you. You just feel younger. And there are a lot of experiments on that.
Very cool.
Lovely.
So what has been the greatest epiphany so far?
Okay. We started our quest in Dublin, in Ireland. And it was at Longevity Summit Dublin. And Aubrey de Grey, who organized the conference, together with Martin, they invited like top of the top scientists. So being with them, talking with them, making interviews was, of course, enlightening. And also watching my son interviewing them was even better, like 17-year-old talking to Brian Kennedy, Aubrey de Grey, or other luminaries. That was amazing. And our favorite scientist was Liz Parrish. You probably know her. Like she is in genetics and has a company BioViva in US. And she was talking about all the genetic therapies she was doing and she was testing on herself. And I loved it because, it's like the beginning of these radical life extension tools. So at the moment, what we can all do is to do these longevity basics, nutrition and sleep and exercise and mindset, lifestyle, and so on and so on. All the changes that, can add us, 5, 10, or even 20 years of life. And you know it well because you are in this industry. Then we have these biohacking upgrades, which is a big thing, supplements, medications, and technology and advanced therapies, and so on and so on. And they can add probably another 10 or 15 years. But then goes radical life extension, which I'm really counting on. And just to get another 50 or 100 years. And I know it's not available yet, but it's almost there. It's almost that we can touch it. So I can't wait for that. For me, one lifetime is just not enough. Life is too beautiful.
Nice. So, but you weren't always involved in the pursuit of longevity and advancements and bridging the gap between what so many people think is pseudoscience versus real science. You were actually in business before, right? Marketing. Tell me, how did you go from that to where you are now?
8 years ago, I spent a lot of time in California to get inspired business-wise. And I went to a conference called Extreme Future Technologies in Forecasting. And it was a very scientific conference. And they were talking about the technologies that are going to change the world for better within the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that was enlightening because in Europe, we think what's going to be in 10 years. In Poland, where I come from, politicians think what was 10 years ago. And there people were thinking, what's going to be in 30 years. And they were investing in it actively. And so there were lectures about asteroid mining or power plants on the orbit, which are going to change the world for better. But then it was also about cryonics and it was about longevity. So I came from there with two things in my mind, space exploration and longevity. But then I decided, okay, first longevity. And when I make sure that I can live at least 200, then I will go on a pursuit, and just follow space.
Yeah, that's a long journey, space. I think that's infinity, right? Never ending.
So many things to see, probably. But
right.
Mars is not my destination. If I go there, okay, I could go to the moon to explore a little bit. Just looking at Earth from the distance should be amazing.
Right.
But then I will wait till we have technology to go to other galaxies, and that will take a while.
Yeah. I would have to wait until like the whole oxygen thing had been tested and proved and reliable before I had any interest in going anywhere where I can't breathe. So, okay, so you started in Dublin at the summit, and then from Dublin you went where?
Then we went to Bali just to rest a
nice.
little bit and just, to decide where to go next, and also work on the trailer of our movie. That is a lot of work.
And what's the name of your documentary that you're working on?
Oh, it's going to be Beyond Time, a father-son quest for longevity around the world.
Nice.
So we are still working on the trailer, getting all the materials. I think we have enough of them. And then we will be, talking to Discovery, Netflix, and other big media platforms. And fortunately, we have friends in the media industry, also from my work, who are going to support us. And they are pretty excited about the topic, because now I know there are a couple of movies about longevity or biohacking being made, but, usually people just do them only about science, only about some crazy stuff. And we want to show longevity through our father-son experience. So you have a lot of emotions and you have a lot of fun. So I think we will get to people like through the back door of their minds. And the other thing, I want to show like a helicopter view on what is there. So not just one part of the puzzle. So before we embarked on our journey, I created a longevity map. And now we follow it and we just fill in the blanks, talking to people, talking to scientists, talking to, as I call them, everyday biohackers. So nutritionists, coaches, yoga masters, healers, then going to the blue zones. And that's fascinating. And I love it. And of course, for me, talking to you guys is also part of the journey and also filling in the blanks. So if I will not have the opportunity to ask you too many questions now, I would definitely like to touch again and just talk to you about the topic.
Oh, for sure.
Wonderful.
I know that Trip's been interested in longevity for 20 years now. He was a late bloomer in the dad arena, so he figured he better figure out how to get with it.
So I need all the longevity I can get to keep up with my 17, 18-year-old.
Yeah. I'm the same. When my son was younger, I told him, son, when you're going to be around 30 or more, we're going to look like brothers. So I have to live up to that. I just have to start rejuvenating.
That's awesome. Well, okay. So what else would you like the listeners to know about your movie or your journey? You said you created a map. What's on the map? I want to see the map.
Oh, I'll just show you from the distance.
Okay.
So this is a map, and it has 3 fields, but let me talk about it for a little bit. So the first part is these longevity basics. And this is something that everyone can already do now. And it starts from don't die from something stupid.
Okay.
And,
seems
it's
reasonable.
Rule number 1.
Yeah. It's, of course, it starts with, don't fall under the bus on don't take unreasonable risks. But then it's also do regular screening. And, we all know that, the biggest diseases of our times, it's like heart diseases or diabetes or cancer. And they all start 10, 20, 30 years before we see them or we die from them. So if we screen regularly, we can just prevent dying from them. And just not screening yourself, it's just dying from something stupid. So
yeah. Well, it's screening and then it's changing behavior.
Of course.
I think a lot of people get screened and continue doing all the things they've ever done to get them to that point. They haven't figured out, or they're not motivated, or they're not
mindful,
or they just don't have the desire. I don't know what it is. Like, it's not enough to make them change their behavior, but a lot of those diseases can be reversed by simple
Exactly.
behavioral modification.
Exactly. I think, first of all, people are lazy. And second of all, they just want convenience all the time. And that's the problem. And even when you tell them, hey, guy, you just change this and change that, and you will get another 10 or 20 years, they just say, oh, whatever, I have to have pleasure in my life. But anyway, this is like the first step on these longevity basics, but then goes nutrition. Of course, I will not get deeper into that because there's a huge topic for hours of conversations.
Right.
But then it's exercise and just being active. Then it's sleep, which is regenerating us. And then it's mindset. And I think mindset is the basis of everything. If you have the right mindset, then you can live better, healthier, more active, longer. And I know a lot of people who just ask me a question, hey, Marek, why do you want to live so long? Isn't 80 enough? And I say, I want to be a rock star. I want to be a scientist. I want to be a doctor. I want to fly into space. It's like 1,000 years wouldn't be enough.
And so many things to do.
Yeah, but they have this just very narrow mindset. And they just, they are programmed just to die when they are 80 because everybody dies like that. So I think mindset is the basis of everything. And then, as you said, all these lifestyle changes and like simple facts like don't drink alcohol or don't smoke and so on and so on. And live in flow, just as what we do now, just living, explore, get to know new places. Like this adds a lot of years to our life. And the last point in this longevity basics is use modern medicine. Because I also know a lot of people who say, I just exercise, I eat well, I don't have to go to the doctor, everything is all right. And, that's also kind of stupid. We have these doctors to help us when we are really sick sometimes. Of course, let's do everything. As you said, lifestyle changes and some great therapies, but still doctors, we need them.
Well, yes, but I think a person has to be they have to be very educated in choosing who their healthcare providers are. I don't know how it is where you are, but in the U.S., it's reactive medicine and it's symptom management. The physicians like us that are dedicated to being proactive and preventive are far and few between. At least here in the South, maybe not as much. I think you have a plethora of options if you're in California or in New York, but coming into the middle of the state and in the southern areas, it takes a little more research, I think, to find the provider that's going to get you for where you are to where you want to go.
Yeah, I fully agree. And maybe in Europe, it's a little bit better. But still, with all the knowledge that you have or I have now about longevity and how to live better, longer, and all these treatments, we can have a long discussion with all the doctors. And I don't know how it's in US, but whenever you have a leg injury or, something wrong with your muscles or you sprinkled your ankle or something like that, when you go to a doctor, every doctor will tell you a different thing. And then you have to choose which doctor you trust.
Right. Right.
So being conscious is pretty important. So there was a book released this year, Life Force, like Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, and so on. It was, I like the topic that it was, just become a CEO of your life. So just learn everything you can. And then, just, as you said, choose the best doctor and choose the best thing that is just for you.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think we in our mindfulness program at Infinite Health, we in the major concept that we've had for about 15 years now is the medical mastermind. And the medical mastermind is kind of the obligation of the patient, and the patient chooses that surrounding that mastermind of individual practitioners, people, whoever, that are engaged harmoniously in the effort to get that person, the head of the table, so to speak, to where they want to go from a health perspective. And so that involves getting the right physician for, I guess, for two perspectives now, the physician to help guide the entire thing, but at the same time, other physicians, other practitioners, other under individuals that inspire and that keep you on track to achieving that goal that you've established. This is which we call the successful health image. So we have the mastermind helping our individuals to get to the successful health image.
And the concept of being the concept of being the CEO and taking an ownership interest in one's health is a foreign idea, I think, at least in the US and at least where we are. So really trying to give the power, have people take their power back, right? Because they've been abdicating their power to the physicians or the government or the health insurance companies or whatever. And so getting that patient to take that ownership interest, I think, is a big message.
Yeah. Anyway, so this was, longevity basics. Everybody can do that. And of course, if they have people like you to help, that's even more amazing. And then this second field on the longevity map are these biohacking upgrades. And there we start with supplements. We have medications. We have basic treatments like saunas or cold plunges or red light therapy, which are, readily available to everyone, and they are cheap. And I love cold plunges and sauna. As we were in Okinawa, we were just doing that every day. And It just gives so much energy, and, it's great after exercise, and it's great for your heart, and so on and so on. So it's not just, because people often think, oh, biohacking, I have to inject something, or I have to wear these funny yellow glasses. It's not about that. It's just about living consciously and just choosing the right things to help you. And there is a lot of knowledge about that, and you'll probably know better than me. But then we also have these longevity clinics, which are starting to grow around the world. And you have, these hyperbaric chambers, which, as I read a lot about it, they do miracles to our cells, to our bodies, and so on. But you can't do it at home. So that's a disadvantage. But then you have, all the IVs and also, stem cell therapies that are starting. We are not sure about all of them, which are great, which are not great yet, but it's coming. And a very important part that I love, I don't know what's your attitude to that, it's psychedelics. And, for trauma release, for depression and so on. I did an MDMA-induced therapy myself 5 years ago. And that changed my life completely. I'm so grateful. That was the best decision I ever did in my life.
Where did you do that?
Oh, I did it in Poland. Actually, when I was doing these studies on flow in California, I learned about it for the first time. And I realized that I had deep, trauma from my childhood. I didn't know how deep then. And then I came back to Poland, and my friend was a therapist. So I came to her with all the articles that I read and all the testimonials. And I said, do it with me, please. And she agreed to that. She never did it before, but fortunately there is this MAPS website in US where they give like the full exercise book, how to do MDMA induced therapy properly. So we did it according to that. And it was hard. It was a couple of months of hard work, but it's another deep topic to discuss. But it just, I healed my trauma. First I started remembering, then I, started to accept my emotions and open my heart, which was the craziest thing for me because, when I was this little kid who lived the trauma, I just decided not to feel anything, to survive. So after, I think, second session, after 2 months, suddenly I started feeling, and that was amazing on one hand, and that was terrifying on the other, And then I went into the direction, how to start liking myself first and then loving myself. And yeah, but, after 3 months, which was the beginning, I woke up and I just felt happy. And I feel happy ever since. Really? I've learned that, you can have problems and you will always have problems in your life, but you can still be happy. And so that was a huge change for me. And actually I'm planning to write an article or even record a video just to share all the protocols and how I did it and how it changed me. what it gave me, because I know there are, millions, or if not tens of millions of people around the world with deep traumas, and they don't even know about them. They usually don't remember, or they just remember 10% of it. But if you heal it, just life is amazing.
Do you have something?
I guess I think that's a perspective of medicine that's, again, it's still looked at with a curious eye, let's say. But I think I know this weekend at Mass General there's a course going on for it. So, and how to use use the microdosing to assist people with depressive disorders, PTSD, all sorts of things, that making huge strides in very little time that historically we've not been able to do with conventional psychiatry, for example. And I think this is opening our minds to the possibility of the psychedelics in psychiatry is really critical to success in these areas.
Yeah, I read a lot about it because I never took MDMA in my life before. So I only use it for the therapy. So, before I decided about that, I had to read everything I could. And it gave me hope. And, after all the experience, how it changed my life, I would recommend it to anyone. But anyway, as you said, it's a field that is growing now. I think this year, if not this year, then at the beginning of the next year, is going to be legalized in US, in Israel, in Canada, and in most of Europe. And, let's just keep our fingers crossed, because I know there are a lot of people suffering. I was, before I did the therapy, I was sad every day of my life. And so just from being sad all the time to being happy all the time, it's just an amazing change. Anyway, getting back to our longevity.
The map.
The map. So the last point, 2 points on the map, it's microbiome. And there is a huge thing I still need to explore, I have to confess. And then it's cosmetology. And a lot of people ask me questions like, cosmetology, isn't it, Botox? I say, skin is the biggest organ in our bodies. So we just need to take care of them, so it just doesn't get old, or we can learn how to rejuvenate that. So cosmetology is very important. And if we feel younger, then we also, get younger inside. So
right.
I'm a big fan of that. And
so what have you discovered in that realm with the respect to the skin?
I've discovered creams. I think like 7 years ago, I was just, this tough guy, I don't need any cream. I can get any sun I want. I'm just a tough guy. And then I said, oh yeah, I think I should use some cream on my face. So that was the first step. But then it's still on our journey to go to clinics that are, specializing in that. But here we also get stem cell therapies for that. And you have IVs and you have microneedling. And there's plenty of tools to use. So I can't wait to learn about them and also test them on myself. I'm still not getting younger. I hope I'm getting older, but I need to get to the rejuvenation part.
It is actually, Mark, it's possible to get younger. We see it every day in our office. In fact, we just had a lady yesterday.
Yeah, you alluded to the age reversal. I mean, our program that we use, actually, surprisingly, now we can actually assess biological aging and our true biological age. I've been doing that on all of my patients generally for the last couple of years. And yesterday, a woman came in who's been doing the program for about 5 years, and she did the test to find out exactly what her biological age was.
She did it very recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a cheap test. It cost a little bit of money, and she didn't want to pay it until recently. So she'd been coming for 5 years, but didn't do the test.
Yeah,
until,
she didn't do the test.
Yeah, a couple of months ago.
And it's only been out for about 4 or 5 years now. Anyway, but at the same time, we got her back, and her biological age was actually 15 years younger than her chronological age, and she was thrilled. She was 54, 55 years old biologically and 70 chronologically, and she really behaves much more like the 55-year-old than the 70-year-old. And it's an amazing thing to have helped her from day one to see all the great things that she's accomplished. And
so the point is, you can actually age in reverse.
Oh yeah, like here
we're all about it.
yeah. And I've listened to your episodes, and I know about that, and I love that. And it's just in my mind, just rejuvenation. It's like, being like my 17-year-old son. Like that's like my goal. As I said, when he's 30, I will look like 30. So it's not only my feeling. It's not only my certain organs. It's just the whole of me. So that's my dream, and I think we can get there at one point. Actually, as we were at this longevity conference in Dublin, we were speaking a lot about longevity escape velocity. So that at one point, thanks to medical and scientific advancements, we will be adding more years to our lives than just the year that just passed. And I think you were talking about David Sinclair recently. And
yes.
At one conference, I think in this September, he already said that, this longevity escape velocity is already doable now. So most of the scientists I talked to, they were saying, okay, we still need at least 10 more years to get it. But still, 10 years, it's just like that. And I do believe in that. It's just, there are so many amazing scientists working on that. So people like you, like now you use all your amazing tools, but then you will be able to also upgrade what you're doing with your patients. And then, a lady will come, 70-year-old, and after a couple of months, she will look like a 30-year-old.
I'm sure that's her goal also.
That's
all we all want to be 29 and holding.
Yeah. I know I'm still 29.
35 is cool.
35 is good too.
Okay.
At least for a man. The woman can be 29.
You men can be 35. Okay. I'll be 29.
Yeah. That's a good result. Okay. So it was the second part of the longevity map. And the third one is this radical life extension. As I said, this is this next level thing. And here we get genetic therapies that I just was talking about. Then we have 3D bioprinting into getting new organs that we need. And then we have this CRISPR-9, which can also do miracles. And people who are blind stop being blind, which is beyond amazing. And then, all the rejuvenating drugs that will come to the market at one point, and cells reprogramming, and then epigenome reprogramming. Oh, we can do epigenome reprogramming with our lifestyle. So, okay, it doesn't have to be radical life extension. But anyway, it's all coming. And that's why I said at the beginning that I loved talking to Liz Parrish, because actually, as she was talking about these genetic therapies, they are already available. It will take time, maybe 10 years or maybe more, until it gets to the masses. But it's a miracle. And now we can take drugs to, have some good effects on our bodies. But actually, as I learned, genetic therapies, it's about how to change our cells so that they produce the good stuff.
Exactly.
So we don't have to do injections or take drugs. It's just our body is getting the ability to, getting younger again. And that's mind-blowing. And I don't know if I can get into details, but she was talking about 4 therapies. The first one was a therapy with polystatin gene, which is stopping muscle dystrophy. And that is amazing, because as we grow older after 30, I think we're losing like 1% of muscle mass every year. And that's why we get so fragile when we are older. And that's why we break our bones and then we die. A lot of people after breaking a hip, they die within 6 months. So, of course, we can exercise and, get stronger and so on. But if we can stop muscle dystrophy, that's a huge change. And then it also helps with diabetes. And then she did clothotherapy, which is about stopping our mind from deteriorating. And that is also a big concern. People say, I don't want to just stop remembering everything from my life. I want to live fully conscious. And So if cloth therapy can do that, I wanted to have that like ASAP. And then she also said that I think her IQ went up 15 points after this cloth therapy. So
what is it? What
So it's
clototherapy?
yeah, it's actually a rejuvenating substance. They actually found it in rats first, I think.
my God.
Yeah, it's been now it's in production that we can use it. I actually have a physician friend who's going to be doing it fairly soon too.
What's the administration?
I don't know.
IV.
Yeah, don't know yet.
IV. Okay.
IV. So in general, genetic therapies you do through IV. I've heard David Sinclair lately speaking that he wants, to give it in pills to people. But probably if you get in pills, then you have to take a pill every week or every day. And you just don't want to do that.
I don't think the efficacy of something you take orally is going to be as good as something going immediately into the bloodstream.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite frankly.
Anyway,
Sinclair.
You mentioned rats, but I prefer, Clotho was a goddess who protected a city with her net. So Clotho, not rats, maybe a goddess.
Yes, sir.
And
it is a better marketing than there.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so the third therapy was the one that was lengthening telomeres, and it worked. But of course, we can also lengthen our telomeres by, lifestyle changes and exercise. And the fourth one was called PGC1 alpha, and it was about activating our mitochondria, which are the power plants of our cells. So I think that could be a key to getting much younger and feel like my 17-year-old son. So I love that. And what they are working on is about combining these four therapies into one. So you just go for one IV and that's done. So
that'd be nice.
Yeah. So I told Liz that whenever she needs a, lab rat, I'm there. I'm coming. Anyway, I'm going to visit her. She's in Seattle and they have a lab in New York. So it's definitely on our trip and we're going to be talking about that.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear that story.
Yeah. So anyway, what I wanted to say is that radical life extension tools are still perceived as science fiction, but they are not. They are just at our doorstep. So, and what I mentioned is just one thing out of thousands. The second thing I mentioned, 3D bioprinting, it means we are going to get our spare parts. And, imagine having a car without spare parts. It would die after 2 or 3 years, even with a good mechanic. And now we don't have our spare parts. And then after 3D bioprinting, when they do it, according to, synchronicity with our DNA and with our body size and so on, we can get a new heart, a new liver, a new eye, a new leg, whatever you fancy. So I think that will add another 30 or 40 years to our life, at least.
Certainly,
fascinating.
Certainly. The major organs that tend to die off with the current morbidity and chronic disease processes, liver, kidneys, heart, those and lungs from self-indulging, all those things can be repaired now simply by, and it's still rudimentary at this point, but like you were saying, if we can bioprint an organ that can replace a failing one, I mean, the potentiality is enormous.
Yeah. Still, of course, it's better not to have any operation and just rejuvenate everything.
Yeah, that goes along with Rule 1, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Rule 1, don't die by stupid things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of extreme sports. So every time I do that, I'm thinking, just don't die from something stupid. Don't die from something stupid. Don't die from something stupid.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm trying to manage the risks, but still living is the first one on my list. Then it's lifespan and health span. So I try to get the good balance.
Yeah. So important.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, what is one thing that you want our listeners to know?
So usually when my friends ask me, okay, so what's the biggest biohack? Like, what should we do? And I just tell them, just look at this map and actually anyone wants the map, it's just enough to DM me on Instagram and it will automatically send them a longevity map. So I just tell them, just look at the map and just do everything you can. If you can just a little part, just do the little part and then do more and more and more. And, as you will do that, just live another 20, 30 years healthy. And in the meantime, the scientists will discover a lot of new breakthroughs for radical life extension. And you will live 10 years longer, then 20 years longer, then 50 years longer. And it can go on and on forever. But first, just start with all the longevity basics. And actually, that was this aha moment for me on Okinawa in Japan, when I was talking to all these centenarians. And they were all saying, just eat healthy, eat 80% full, which is harahachibo, if I remember well. And then, so don't overeat. And then, just move a lot and have a lot of social connections, with family, with friends. And they were, saying all these things. Oh, one of the most important was the purpose, just live with the purpose, so they wake up and you have, this reason why to live and why to live with others. And then you think, oh my God, these are like so simple things, anyone can do. And probably a lot of our grandmas were saying that. And so it's just enough to want and, to have this right mindset and not be lazy, not just think about convenience, just think about this vessel that you have, your body, your mind, your heart. Just think about them and take care of them. Because most of the people just treat their vessels as a trash bin. They eat anything and they just don't care about sleep. They don't care about their mindset and so on. And then they die early. And why die? Let's just stay healthy forever.
Healthy forever. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Where can people find more about you and follow your journey? And what's your goal date for releasing your film?
So first of all, let's start with the letter. We're going to continue our trip till August next year, and then we'll sit in a studio for at least 3 months to make the movie. So it's going to take at least a year for the movie. But
2025?
No, 2024. It has to be.
Okay.
But then, as our media friends are saying, that first we will have some materials for the TV. So we just tease everything, and people can get glimpses from our journey and from all these amazing technologies. And so that's the first thing. And I love it. I love doing this film. And, the goal is just to tell all the people that longevity is for everyone. It's accessible.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not just for these billionaires or crazy people wearing fancy glasses. So that's the first message. And the second is, just choose whatever you feel. Just start small and then add more and more things just to work on your longevity. So this is my goal as I'm doing this movie, just to show it. And in the meantime, of course, we started our Instagram channel, which is just Longevity Advocate. And that's where you can DM me to get the map. And I also have this website, longevityadvocate.com, where I try to put the basics for longevity. And I must confess, as we travel and as we, do these movies and movie and interviews, and planning all that, it just takes a lot of time. So I don't have that much time to update everything as we go, but I will get better. Okay. So I promise, I promise on that. And we definitely need to catch again. And I'm really curious about your story. And maybe we'll come to New Orleans so that we can just interview you.
It's probably not a blue zone, but we would love to have you.
We'd love to have you. Yeah, absolutely.
That will be amazing.
True inspiration.
Well, thank you, Mark, so much for your time and your story. And I can't wait to follow your journey with you and your son and learn all the great longevity things that y'all are bringing to the forefront.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lena and Trip. And maybe next time we meet, you also get to know my son and hear his side of the story.
Oh, yeah. Would love it. Would love to have him on.
Absolutely.
All right, listener, I hope you found this informational, educational, and entertaining. And until next time.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Tripp.
And I'm Lene. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.